and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Okay, one person's fighting, I guess, or pushing back against a pro-Israeli group. So Representative Thomas Massie argues with pro-Israeli group over opposition to $14 billion aid package. Now, if you've been watching this show, we have said it time and time again that a lot of our politicians are bought and sold. A lot of our politicians are owed and owe their political careers and are owned by big money. But Representative Thomas Massie got in a heated back and forth with a leading pro-Israel lobby group. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So on Tuesday, after he announced his opposition to a $14 billion aid package for Israel being pushed by the House GOP leadership, if Congress sends $14.5 billion to Israel, on average, we'll be taking about 100 from every working person in the United States. And again, the $14.3 billion aid package for Israel would include $1.2 billion for the development of the Iron Beam defense system. So not only is there the Iron Dome, but there's the Iron Beam. What the hell does that mean? And $4 billion for Israel's Iron Dome and David Sling defense systems. So the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, responded to the congressman in a post that pointed out his vote last week, along with 9 progressive Democrats, against a resolution backing Israel and condemning Hamas last week. Representative Massie has condemned the October 7th attack on Israel, but he said he opposed the resolution because it calls for sanctions, which he does not support, and asserts the necessity of foreign aid commitments, which I have voted against. AIPAC always gets mad when I put America first. I won't be voting for their $14 billion shakedown of American taxpayers either, he wrote. They are intentionally misrepresenting my intent and the resolution I voted against. The pro-Israeli group responded saying the U.S. is stronger when Israel is secure. No misrepresentation. Your vote says it all. No to standing with Israel. No to condemning Hamas. No to helping Israel win this war. Look, what's happening in Gaza is the world's most one-sided fist fight caught on film. Bombing of refugee centers, schools, homes, hospitals, all that stuff. What everyone is outraged at is the fact of all this unchecked destruction and now billions of dollars in aid going into another unnecessary war. We have money for war. We just don't have money for the people of Lahaina. That one-time $700 check, don't spend it all in one spot. We have no money to help out the people of East Palestine, Ohio. I wonder when Joe Biden's going to visit that community. No need to set your watch. It's never going to happen. Flint, Michigan needing clean drinking water. If it didn't happen under Obama, if it didn't happen under Trump, it's not going to happen under Biden or anyone else that will succeed him. Even if he's reelected, nothing will fundamentally change. I want to pull up this little tweet back and forth. So let's go ahead and talk about it. This baseless smear is meant to intimidate me into voting to send $14 billion of your money to a foreign country. Please let AIPAC know we are broke and these tactics don't work. Changes of dual loyalty are anti-Semitic and insult to millions of patriotic Americans who stand by Israel. The U.S. is stronger when Israel is secure. AIPAC always gets mad when I put America first. I won't be voting for their $14 billion shakedown of American taxpayers either. Let them know what you think by replying to their posts. They are intentionally misrepresenting my intent and the resolution I voted against. Instead of standing with Israel, again, they're calling out Representative Thomas Massie, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman, everyone else because of this House resolution. These are 10 who voted against it. And all it is this was just a resolution just for show. This was a resolution that just is there to confirm these lobby groups that all these 412 politicians, the 194 Democrats and the 218 Republicans are just ready, foaming at the mouth for that wonderful lobby check. So these 10 politicians, and I know it's a rarity where you see people have the attempt to have a backbone, but what I find interesting about Thomas Massie is that he's actually taking on AIPAC and actually going on a back and forth. Normally, that is a kiss of death for a politician. Instead of distorting my intent, why not post the real reason why I gave for voting against House Resolution 771? I condemn the barbaric attack on Israel, and I affirm Israel's right to defend itself, as all these politicians do. However, I will not be voting for House Resolution 771 today because it calls for sanctions on a sovereign country. Sanctions are a prelude to war and hurt the citizens of the country more than the government of the country that's being sanctioned. Sanctions don't work. Sanctions never work. They just cause further political instability. And ultimately, sanctions create laws that will be used to prosecute American citizens who engage in trade, not citizens of the sanctioned country. In short, sanctions do not achieve their stated purposes, but do breed resentment of our country abroad. We've done it in Central and South America. We've done it all over the world. Sanctions don't work. Number two, it asserts the necessity of foreign aid commitments, which I voted against. Our country is going bankrupt, which we are, and we can't afford to borrow money to send overseas. Yet this resolution states that we should. According to Janet Yellen, though, the United States can afford not one, but 2 wars. We have money for war. We have money to bail out banks. No money for the people. 3, it contains an open-ended promise of military support that is so broad that it could be interpreted to commit U.S. soldiers to the conflict. U.S. troops should not be engaged in this conflict. Absolutely, we should not. 4, it tends to broaden the conflict to other countries when it would be better to keep the war contained geographically. That's the thing about wars. No, they're never contained. No war is ever fully contained. And that's where we're at right now. We have at least one politician standing up to the lobby group, AIPAC, which is courageous in its own right. I'm impressed by that. Representative Thomas Massie is probably one of the few people that are putting on a show of strength. And I'm saying this generously because I'm not a fan of any of these politicians in the United States House of Representatives. Let's face it, if we look at all these politicians, majority of them are inherently corrupt. A majority of them are doing insider trading. A majority of them have built their political career in just advancing their own special interests. But let's be clear here. How is it that we have money for Israel, for Ukraine, ongoing bloody conflicts that could lead to further destruction and political and financial instability for our nation? Our people are being ignored. The American people are being left behind. And even as we give this $14 billion in aid to Israel, what's going to happen to the Palestinian people?